So one thing related to media queries, though, because I mentioned media queries, is an issue I came up with that I did bring up to you offline, and definitely want to talk about. And so let me explain it, and then you can kind of I definitely want to hear your thoughts. So basically, the issue or the situation, because of the way that I'm laying out my page, so like there's a left hand nav menu on the left side, and then the sort of main part where the main content is in the middle, and then the aside is the right side column that has some like ads and some other stuff in it. I do this calculation of combining these three in order to know the full length or the full width rather of those three combined. Whatever this value is, whatever the kind of calculated full width is, I need to know once it hits that media breakpoint. But the problem is that you can't actually use props, at least in the current version of current CSS. There are some proposals out there or whatever, but because media breakpoints are calculated either separately or beforehand, or I forgot the exact thing, but basically you can't use this prop, and so I have to, at least right now, manually make sure that I keep in sync. Right now this calculation is 1362, and so then I in other places in my code I have to like manually copy and keep in sync the app media max width 362 or whatever, which obviously is not ideal. So I've already kind of brought this up as a point to you a couple of days ago. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Sander.
Yeah, yeah, I was thinking about that, and basically it was a little bit alien to me because I actually never use media queries, at least not media queries for sizing things. I'm using them for light and dark and stuff like that, but not for sizing things because I build my apps in a more fluent way. Also, if I'm building an app, I'm always deciding how I want to have the basic layout, and usually that is indeed we have a header, we have an aside, which is usually a menu or something like that, and in your case you have another aside on the other side. Um, what I use for that is a grid. And if you have a grid, you just say, hey, I want to have this thing so wide, this thing so wide, and whatever is in between, that is my main.
So okay. So I think the way I translate what you're saying is that I sort of was not using grid, and I was kind of mainly trying to do this layout with Flex and some magic at different breakpoints or whatever. But I think probably one part of the solution is that when you get to some more complicated layouts, like grid makes things easier. That's sort of what I'm hearing from you, and I
Yeah, grid
probably tend
makes
to agree.
layout like this very, very easy. I can lay out this layout is, I think, 6 lines of code, 6 lines of
Yeah, and
CSS.
so the way I have it is that like so this is the where the size of the left menu, main, and right side, when they get to be the screen size, after it goes to that, then the left menu goes away and it becomes just like a slide out.
Yeah.
And then once you hit that again, then the right side goes away and it goes to the very bottom. Yeah, like you're saying. So like I sort of manually somewhat implemented that. But I hear what you're saying that, and I'm going to kind of write that down as a suggestion to look into that. I could kind of
You can
restructure this
totally do
in a
that
grid.
with a grid layout. Grid is comes more natural to me, but some people prefer Flex. You can do it with both, but a grid is a little bit easier, and also it makes it possible to name certain parts of your screen, and then when the layout changes, it's easier to see what is going where. It's easier to reason about.